It's a building that, by all rights, shouldn't exist. A perfect open space inside, crowned by a concrete dome so massive it stayed the largest of its kind for over 1,000 years. So today, we're going to crack the code of this ancient miracle, the Pantheon in Rome. Okay, just picture it. You're standing inside, you look up, and there it is, a perfect circle of open sky. A 9-meter-wide oculus is the only thing lighting up the entire space. It's just wow. It's designed to make you feel completely humbled. But the real magic, the thing that'll blow your mind, isn't just the view. It's the impossible engineering that's holding it all up.
Think about this for a second. For nearly 1,900 years, this thing has been standing. It watched its own empire rise and then crumble. It survived wars, weather, you name it. The fact that it's still here is almost as incredible as how it was built in the first place.
And the sheer scale of it is just staggering. The dome is 43.3 meters across. That's about 142 feet. But here's the kicker, the really genius part. The height from the floor all the way up to that opening is exactly the same. You could fit a perfect sphere inside this building. And you better believe that was no accident. This was pure geometric perfection.
You know, when the one and only Michelangelo saw it for the first time, he was just floored. He said it was designed by angels, not by man. And that really gets to the heart of the mystery, doesn't it? How on earth did they build something so huge, so perfect, with the tech they had back then?
All right, so to figure this out, we need to jump in our time machine. Because, and this is important, the Pantheon you can visit today, it's not the original one. Nope, this is a building that was literally reborn from the ashes.
So the first Pantheon, built way back by Marcus Agrippa, actually burned down. The one we see now was a total rebuild, courtesy of the Emperor Hadrian. And Hadrian, he was clever. He kept Agrippa's original name on the front, a nice little nod to the past. But what he built behind it, well, that was a complete game-changer in engineering.
And that right there brings us to the main event, that impossible dome. This is the puzzle piece that has had engineers scratching their heads for literally centuries.
Okay, get this. Here's what makes this dome a true miracle of engineering. It's unreinforced. That means no steel bars, no rebar, no hidden metal skeleton holding it all together. It's just concrete, Roman concrete, supporting its own mind-boggling weight. I mean, in some ways, we still haven't topped that.
So that's the billion-dollar question, right? How in the world did they build this gigantic, perfectly curved concrete roof way back in the 2nd century and not have the whole thing just collapse on itself?
Well, for ages, the accepted theory was, well, pretty brute force. Everyone figured they must have built this enormous wooden framework like a forest of scaffolding, filling up the entire inside of the building to hold the dome up as it cured. But think about that. That would have meant cutting down a huge number of trees. It would have been ridiculously expensive and complicated. It almost seems as impossible as the dome itself.
But what if that whole theory is just wrong? What if the Romans had a much smarter, much more elegant solution? Well, it turns out they did. And the craziest part? The clue was hiding in plain sight this whole time.
Check this out. This photo from 1925 was taken while some repairs were being done, and it gives us our first huge break in the case. See those two inspectors standing inside one of the coffers? You know, those hollowed-out squares that make the dome lighter? They have no idea, but they are pointing right at the answer. Okay, look really close at the walls inside that coffer. See those lines? The vertical ones are perfectly straight, but the horizontal ones? They're all a bit wavy and uneven. Now, this isn't sloppy work. Oh no, this is a clue. It's the telltale sign of a completely different way of building.
So to get what's going on here, you need to know about two kinds of concrete, poured versus placed. Poured concrete, the stuff we mostly use today, is liquid. You pour it into a sealed mold and you get a perfectly smooth finish. But placed concrete is different. It's a much drier, thicker mix, almost like clay that you apply by hand, layer by layer. And that's why those horizontal lines are uneven. It was being slapped on in small batches day after day. So here's the new theory, and it is brilliant. The Romans didn't build that giant internal scaffolding at all. Instead, they just used small movable molds for the vertical parts between the coffers. And every day, they would place a thin layer of this thicker concrete mix by hand. They'd let it dry overnight, and boom, it's strong enough to support the next layer. And get this, they brace the molds against the building's own super thick outer walls. No massive forest of wood needed. Just a little tower in the middle for that very last ring at the top. I mean, come on, that is just genius.
Now, the dome is obviously the star of the show here, but the Pantheon story is so much bigger than that. Its real genius isn't just in the how, but in how it's managed to survive for so long. This building has had so many different lives.
I mean, it started out as a pagan temple dedicated to all the gods. Then it was an imperial hall for the emperor to hold ceremonies. Then in the year 609, it became a Christian church, which honestly is probably the biggest reason it's still standing. And today, it's a national mausoleum that's the final resting place of incredible figures like the painter Raphael.
And the mysteries don't even stop with the dome. Let's talk about those huge bronze doors for a second. Are they really the 2,000-year-old originals? Well, it depends who you ask. Some experts look at the style and say, yep, absolutely. But others point out that they don't quite fit perfectly, suggesting they might have been rebuilt later on. It's just another reminder that this ancient building is still holding on to some of its secrets.
So the Pantheon is so much more than just a museum piece, right? It's not just a relic. It's a living, breathing piece of architecture that has been shaping the world around us for centuries. Seriously, you can see its DNA all over the place. Its perfect shape is what inspired Bruno Leschi to figure out how to build his famous dome in Florence. It was a huge influence on Michelangelo's design for St. Peter's Basilica, and it basically became the go-to blueprint for all sorts of grand public buildings, from Paris to London, and yeah, even the US Capitol.
You know, the story of how the Pantheon was really built just goes to show you that we're still figuring out the incredible genius of the ancient world. And it leaves you with this one big, fascinating question, doesn't it? If a building we thought we understood so completely was hiding a secret this elegant, this clever, for almost 2,000 years, what other ancient marvels are we totally misunderstanding? What other secrets are just waiting for us to find them?